What if I told you that the burning sensation in your cheeks when you trip in public is actually your brain executing an ancient survival protocol that once kept our ancestors from being kicked out of their tribes and left to die alone in the wilderness? Embarrassment isn't just an awkward feeling. It's a full-body alarm system that hijacks your nervous system, floods your bloodstream with stress hormones, and literally rewires your brain in real time to prevent social death. We're talking about an emotion so powerful it can make you replay a cringe moment from 5 years ago at 3 in the morning, yet so essential that without it, human civilization as we know it would collapse. Hit that like if you've ever wanted to disappear into the floor after saying something awkward, because what you're about to discover will explain why your brain tortures you with those memories and why that torture might be the most important thing keeping society together. Let's get real about what's actually happening inside your skull when embarrassment strikes, because the science behind this emotion is way wilder than you ever imagined and connects to everything from ancient tribal dynamics to modern social media anxiety. Embarrassment is fundamentally a social emotion, meaning it only exists because we're wired to care desperately about what other people think of us, which sounds superficial until you realize that for 99% of human history, caring what others thought was literally life or death. Our ancestors lived in small tribes of 30 to 150 people, and getting kicked out of your tribe meant almost certain death because humans are pathetically weak compared to predators and can't survive alone for long. So evolution sculpted our brains with a heterogor alarm system that screams danger whenever we violate social norms, make mistakes in public, or do anything that might lower our status in the group and risk exile. That alarm system is embarrassment, and it's orchestrated by a specific network in your brain, including the prefrontal cortex, which handles social reasoning, the anterior cingulate cortex, which detects social pain, and the amygdala, which processes emotional responses. When you do something embarrassing, your brain instantly compares your action against an internal database of social rules you've absorbed since childhood, detects a mismatch, and triggers a cascade of physical and psychological responses designed to make you stop immediately. Your face flushes red because blood rushes to your skin as your sympathetic nervous system kicks into fight or flight mode. Your body temperature spikes, your heart pounds, and you might even start sweating as stress hormones flood your system. But here's where it gets fascinating. That physical display of embarrassment, the blushing and the awkward body language, isn't just a side effect. It's actually a signal to others that you recognize you messed up and feel bad about it. Research shows that people who visibly display embarrassment after a social mistake are judged more favorably and forgiven more quickly than people who don't show embarrassment, because the display proves you understand and respect the social rules you violated. It's basically your brain forcing you to apologize non-verbally, broadcasting to everyone watching that you're a cooperative member of the group who deserves a second chance, rather than a sociopath who doesn't care about norms and should be expelled. Drop in the comments, what's the most embarrassing moment you've ever experienced? And did it change how you behaved afterward? Because I guarantee your brain updated its social rulebook after that incident to prevent future violations. Now, let's talk about why embarrassment feels so intensely painful. Like genuinely physically painful, in a way that can haunt you for years and make you cringe, just thinking about it decades later when you're trying to fall asleep. Scientists have discovered that social pain and physical pain actually activate overlapping regions in the brain, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex, which means your brain literally processes social rejection and embarrassment using the same neural circuits it uses for actual bodily harm. This isn't a metaphor or exaggeration. The pain of embarrassment is neurologically real, and evolution made it that way on purpose, because for our ancestors, social pain was a warning sign of impending physical pain or death through exile. Your brain evolved to treat social mistakes as emergencies, because in the ancestral environment, they genuinely were emergencies. So it burns those memories into your neural architecture with the same intensity it reserves for memories of physical danger like touching a hot stove. That's why you can forget 1,000 unremarkable days, but remember with crystal clarity that time you called your teacher mum in 3rd grade, or tripped walking up to receive an award, or sent a text to the wrong person. Your brain is essentially saying this memory is critical survival information. Never forget this, so you never make this mistake again and risk your social standing, which your ancestors' brains correctly understood as synonymous with survival itself. But modern life has created a brutal mismatch between our ancient embarrassment system and the actual social environment we live in today. Because we're no longer in tribes of 100 people, where everyone knows everyone, and reputation is everything. We now navigate massive societies of thousands or millions of strangers, plus digital spaces where a single embarrassing moment can be recorded, shared globally, and immortalized forever, triggering our embarrassment circuitry on an unprecedented scale that evolution never prepared us for. Social media has turned embarrassment into a spectator sport where people's awkward moments get millions of views and become memes that follow them forever, activating their ancient social death prevention system over and over with every notification and comment. Recent studies show that adolescents today experience significantly higher levels of social anxiety and embarrassment-related distress than previous generations, and researchers link this directly to the permanent, public, scalable nature of social media mistakes compared to old-school embarrassment that was temporary and local. Your brain's embarrassment system was calibrated for a world where if you did something awkward at the campfire, maybe 30 people saw it, they'd probably forget in a week, and you could rebuild your reputation through consistent good behavior over time. Now you can go viral for the wrong reasons and have millions of strangers judge you based on 5 seconds of video with zero context, triggering an embarrassment response that your brain interprets as the entire human species witnessing your social violation and considering your exile. The stakes haven't actually changed in reality. You're not going to die if a video of you tripping goes viral, but your ancient brain doesn't know that and responds as if your survival is genuinely threatened, which explains the intense psychological distress. Here's where the science gets really interesting though. Embarrassment isn't just about preventing social mistakes. It's also a powerful tool for learning, moral development, and actually strengthening social bonds when it's handled correctly by both the embarrassed person and observers. Children start showing embarrassment around age 2 to 3, right when they're developing self-awareness and beginning to understand that other people have thoughts and opinions about them, which marks a crucial developmental milestone in becoming a social being. As kids grow, their capacity for embarrassment becomes more sophisticated, and it starts teaching them the unwritten rules of their culture, the boundaries of acceptable behavior, and how to navigate the complex social hierarchies that govern human groups everywhere. Embarrassment is essentially your brain's built-in social education system, providing immediate negative feedback whenever you cross a line, so you learn where the lines are without needing someone to explicitly explain every single rule in every single context, which would be impossible. But the magic of embarrassment isn't just in how it changes the person feeling it, it's also in how it changes the observers and transforms potential conflicts into opportunities for connection and forgiveness. When both parties respond appropriately, when someone does something embarrassing and shows visible signs of embarrassment, observers subconsciously perceive them as more trustworthy, more likable, and more human, because the display signals humility, self-awareness, and respect for social norms that makes others want to help rather than attack. This is why comedians and public speakers often deliberately share embarrassing stories, because it creates instant rapport with the audience by displaying vulnerability and demonstrating that the speaker is a real person who makes mistakes just like everyone else in the room. Researchers call this the embarrassment display effect, and it's so powerful that in experiments, people who show embarrassment after a mistake are chosen more often as partners in trust games and cooperative tasks compared to people who show no embarrassment or try to hide it. The evolutionary logic is brilliant. Embarrassment transforms a social violation, which could fracture group cohesion, into a bonding opportunity where the violator demonstrates they understand the rules and observers demonstrate their capacity for forgiveness, strengthening relationships on both sides of the interaction. Tag a friend who needs to hear this if you've ever felt mortified about something you did, because understanding that your brain is executing an ancient cooperative protocol might make those memories sting a little less and help you see them as evidence of your functioning social intelligence. Now, let's explore the future implications of understanding embarrassment at this deep level, because scientists are discovering that this emotion plays crucial roles in everything from moral behavior to mental health to the very fabric of functional societies, and that knowledge could reshape everything. Clinical research shows that people with certain neurological conditions affecting the embarrassment network, like frontotemporal dementia, lose their ability to feel embarrassment, and consequently start violating social norms without any apparent awareness or concern, which causes their relationships to deteriorate rapidly and proves how essential this emotion is. Psychopaths and people with antisocial personality disorder also show reduced embarrassment responses in brain imaging studies, which researchers believe contributes to their willingness to violate social rules without the normal deterrent effect that keeps most people in line through the fear of social pain. This suggests that embarrassment isn't just a nice-to-have social lubricant. It's actually one of the foundational emotions that makes human cooperation possible at scale, preventing societies from collapsing into chaos by giving everyone a built-in enforcement mechanism for social norms without requiring constant external punishment. Imagine a future where neuroscientists can map individual differences in embarrassment circuitry and use that information to develop personalized interventions for people whose embarrassment systems are either too sensitive, leading to crippling social anxiety, or too weak, leading to antisocial behavior that harms communities. Early trials are already exploring whether targeted therapies, including cognitive behavioral therapy and even carefully designed virtual reality exposure treatments, can help recalibrate overactive embarrassment systems in people with social anxiety disorder who suffer from embarrassment responses so intense they become disabling and isolating. On the flip side, researchers are investigating whether empathy training and social cognitive exercises can strengthen embarrassment responses in individuals with reduced social emotions, potentially offering new treatment pathways for conditions that currently have limited therapeutic options and cause immense suffering for patients and families. The implications extend beyond individual therapy into the realm of social policy and technology design. Because, as we understand embarrassment better, we can architect digital spaces that either amplify its toxic effects or harness its prosocial power to build healthier online communities. Some platforms are experimenting with features that reduce permanent public embarrassment, like ephemeral content that disappears, smaller audience sizes, and design choices that make viral public shaming harder. Recognizing that the current social media environment hijacks our embarrassment systems in destructive ways never intended by evolution. Picture this, it's 2030, and a researcher named Dr. Chen has just published breakthrough findings showing that brief targeted interventions teaching people about the evolutionary function of embarrassment significantly reduce social anxiety symptoms and increase prosocial behavior in long-term studies tracking thousands of participants. Her work demonstrates that when people understand embarrassment as a cooperative signal rather than a personal failure, they recover faster from embarrassing incidents, show more compassion toward others' mistakes, and contribute to social environments where people feel safe taking reasonable risks without fear of permanent reputation destruction. Schools worldwide start incorporating embarrassment literacy into social-emotional learning curricula, teaching kids that feeling embarrassed is their brain working correctly to help them learn social skills, and that showing embarrassment helps others forgive and create stronger communities based on mutual understanding. Social media platforms redesign their algorithms based on Dr. Chen's framework, reducing the viral spread of embarrassing content while amplifying prosocial responses to mistakes, creating digital environments that respect our ancient embarrassment systems rather than weaponizing them for engagement metrics and advertising revenue. Within a decade, population-level studies show measurable decreases in social anxiety disorders, increases in trust and cooperation indicators, and more resilient communities where people feel comfortable being authentically imperfect humans rather than curating impossible images of perfection that make everyone miserable and disconnected. This isn't fantasy, it's an extrapolation of current research trajectories in social neuroscience, clinical psychology, and technology ethics that are converging toward a more humane understanding of how our emotional architecture shapes society and how we can work with rather than against our evolutionary inheritance. So why does understanding embarrassment matter beyond personal curiosity and party conversation fodder? Why should you care about the neuroscience of blushing when you've got actual problems to solve and a life to live right now in this moment? Because recognizing that embarrassment is an ancient cooperative technology built into your brain helps you respond to your own embarrassing moments and others. Moments with more wisdom, compassion, and strategic intelligence that makes your relationship stronger and your emotional life richer and less tortured. When you understand that your brain is trying to protect you and teach you through embarrassment rather than punish you, you can thank it for the warning, extract the social lesson, and move forward without the years of rumination that serve no purpose except making you miserable. And when you see someone else experiencing embarrassment, you can recognize it as their brain signaling cooperation and trustworthiness, which should trigger your compassion and forgiveness rather than your mockery or judgment, creating positive feedback loops that strengthen social bonds rather than fracturing them through cruelty. This knowledge transforms embarrassment from a shameful weakness into evidence of your properly functioning social brain, proof that you care about others and want to maintain your relationships, which is literally what makes you human and capable of the cooperation that built everything good in civilization. Smash that subscribe button for more deep dives into the emotions that secretly run your life. Drop a comment sharing the most embarrassing thing you've ever done and how it changed you, and share this with someone who needs to understand their brain better. Because embarrassment isn't the enemy, it's the guardian of your social world, the teacher of your moral development, and the architect of trust that holds communities together against the forces of selfishness and chaos that would tear everything apart. This changed how I see those cringe memories that wake me up at night, transforming them from evidence of my failures into proof that my brain cares about being a good person and maintaining the relationships that give life meaning and joy. The next time you feel your face flush and your stomach drop after a social mistake, remember, your brain is executing a protocol millions of years old that kept your ancestors alive and is now keeping society functional, one awkward moment at a time.